What's up, y'all? Chris Lotus here, hope you're doing alright. I've done 2 videos reacting to and talking about interesting KOF theories on TV tropes. The first one was just me picking out stuff that I thought was interesting or stuff that caught my eye at first. The second one had more to do with team comp predictions on TV tropes. This one, not 100%, but we're going to be delving more into the crazy stuff that I've seen on here. Like theories that would be the equivalent of conspiracy theories in the real world. This is in no way, shape, or form meant to demean anybody that posted these theories, because at the end of the day, it's all interesting and it intrigued me. You are also more than welcome to post your personal KOF hot takes and theories in the comment section below. Without further ado, let's dive right into this. First off, I want to acknowledge a couple of theories that actually aged quite well since I last saw them, one of which being Luong is going to betray Kim and Gongil. Now, the entirety of the write-up following this theory doesn't exactly line up with what has actually happened thus far, but I do recall seeing this a while before they confirmed Team Secret Agent, whom Luong also double-crossed. I need to really make a video about Luong. There was even a post on here from someone who predicted that Cronin was K49 but under a new identity, and I can personally confirm that this person posted this around the time we had first gotten the reveal at the Game Awards. Now, while that in of itself might not be all that impressive because duh, we all knew that was K49, it's the write-up that was the most impressive, as it was nearly a bullseye on the stuff that we would learn in KOF 15, particularly with the last sentence of this write-up that says, "At some point, a reference to his old identity will be made, but as a nod to SNK's stance on the matter of who he was designed as a copy of, he will brush it off and say that isn't him anymore." Again, not quite there, but they did get the part about a reference to his old identity being made because, of course, Angel called him by his old name. But yeah, that's basically it for the prelude of this right here. As I mentioned earlier, just wanted to give props to these 2 predictions, and now on to our main event. Now, we're not exactly starting off super crazy, but I did want to acknowledge this theory here as it's the newest one that's been put on the board. Nameless will become a DLC character in KOF 15. Considering that Cronin has been confirmed to be K49 and is now on the run from Nests, it's highly probable that his suspiciously similar substitute will be sent after him in order to settle the score via upgrade versus prototype fight, most likely with Isolde being used as a bargaining chip. Now, I'm not going to get too far into this other thing, but I do want to at least point it out, but there is another post in this section that's predicting that Nameless will become a canon character in KOF. For those of you who are new or unaware of how I feel about K49 and Nameless, I am more of a Nameless fan. I don't think K49 is bad, I just like Nameless more. While I would love to see Nameless back in a KOF game and be canon, I just wonder how are they going to go about making these 2 different. I'm positive SNK, if they went down this road, could pull it off. I actually had a small discussion on one of my latter Twitch streams with Johnny and some other people, where I was basically talking about how KOF has a whole lot of Shoto clones, but even though they follow that archetype, each character has their own unique twist that makes them stand out. Like someone once asked me, why do you like Rio but you don't like Robert? Aren't they both Shotos? Which they are, it's just that if you wanted to play somebody who was more like Ryu in 15 at least, you would pick Robert over Rio because Robert has an actual fundamental fireball that's meterless. Rio's Kouken has always been more of a poke. He has a full screen fireball now with the meter burning, but you get my point. I just wonder how are they going to make them stand out amongst each other. Again, SNK could pull it off, but I just wonder what they would do. Maybe have Isolde more involved in more of Nameless's moves? Okay. Who is Gado's father? I cannot stop thinking, for no reason I can adequately explore, that it's Hydern. What? Unlike most of the theories on here, this doesn't come with an explanation, and I really wish this person would have explained how they arrived at this. Aside from like maybe similar personalities, where do you get that Hydern is Gado's father? Someone kinda comes with a debunk saying, doubtful. Given their ages, Hydern would be 17 when Gado was born. Now, that's not a full-on debunk because look hard enough, search online, you'll find a story or 2 about somebody having children at an age where they really shouldn't be. It happens. But I do think this debunk does hold water, and at least for me, Hydern comes off a lot more responsible than that. Ash Crimson is a metafictional character written by Kula Diamond in an attempt to cope with their hatred of fire to get along with K-Dash. Oh man. His flames are an extremely non-fiery green. He's known to be out to get Kyo and Iori, both fire users Kula doesn't hang around with, but not K-Dash, who Kula does hang around with, at least until 15. Well, for a little while. And check out what a dead ringer Kula's normal E costume in Maximum Impact 2 is for the guy. He's so important to the plot because Kula needs to give him lots of screen time in order to maximize his author therapy value. I thought it was crazy when people would constantly talk about how the Ash saga never happened, even though, I mean, I get why they say that, but still. What far out cosmic Milky Way wormhole did you yank this cosmic freaking conspiracy from? I think the person goes on to say, by extension, the current 2D KOF storyline looks so much like the one before the Nest saga because it's all metafictional, and Kula is not a very original writer. The Maximum Impact games are where continuity actually goes after the Nest saga ends. And in parentheses, note that this WMG chain is a joke response to something in the series Head Scratchers entry, mostly. Head Scratchers, in case you don't know, is a section on certain TV Tropes pages where people can ask about certain things they perceive as being plot holes, contradictions, what say you? So I'm guessing this was kind of a joke, I suppose. To mildly entertain this theory, if Kula happens to be one of those people that you know that's really attached to a character for some reason or whatever, and they really like put their heart and soul into their creation, and maybe they wanted to make someone, I guess, so detestable that somebody they know in real life is actually more tolerable by comparison, no, absolutely not. I'm just messing with you. This is crazy. There's a rebuttal here saying that unfortunately with the roster additions in Maximum Impact 2 Regulation A, either this rather amusing theory is trashed, or Kula's creation has transcended his metafictional nature to join the tournaments proper. Granted, this would be a very Ash thing to do. I guess that's true. The American sports team are the canonical winners of the KOF 94 tournament. Okay, no, Team Japan won that. What? In their team ending, Brian had decided to go back home and Heavy D and Lucky decided to continue street fighting. The reason they hadn't reappeared in any of the subsequent games, minus 98, is because they simply decided not to partake in any of the other tournaments. No. The team kept getting their invitation stolen. There's a response saying, I'm pretty sure that the canon KOF 94 winners were the Japan team, as I said. Otherwise, it wouldn't make sense for them to have the only pre-final boss talk that includes a character non-related to Rugal's entourage. The one where Kyo finds his father Saishu gravely injured after he loses to Rugal, and is the basis for Saishu becoming a brainwashed and crazy sub-boss in KOF 95. The OP then returns and responds by saying, yes, I know that Team Japan are the canonical winners. I was simply coming up with an explanation for the US team's put on a bus status. And put on a bus is basically a situation in which a character is written off in a way in which they can return in the future, as opposed to just killing off the character completely. I would have been alright with this theory if this person hadn't leaned so hard on this idea that the American sports team were the real winners of the 94 tournament. The crazy thing is, when they say the reason they hadn't appeared in any of the subsequent games minus 98 is because they simply decided not to partake in any of the tournaments, that is a much better framed theory. Still flawed because we all know why we haven't seen them in a minute, but still, it's better than just saying the US sports team were the real 94 champs. Like, no, come on now. Adelheid and Rose Bernstein's mothers are Mature and Vice respectively. It's in the personalities of Rugal's kids, really. Adel is honorable and sporting, mirroring Mature being the classier of the secretary duo. Meanwhile, Rose's rich to the hilt act clearly takes from Vice's wild, borderline insane personality. As to how this happened, you don't think Rugal simply had Mature and Vice do secretarial work when he hired them, did you? Wasn't expecting it to go down that road, but okay. There's a bit there to read, but I do want to zero in on the rebuttal here that says, doubtful about Vice, but Mature being the mother of Rugal's kids is very possible. Otto looks pretty much like a mixture of Mature and Rugal. Rose, not so much. But if her measurements are anything to go by, she'll grow up to play Generation Xerox more or less straight, or would grow up if not for comic book time. Also, both kids are blonde, which is a recessive trait and is guaranteed to occur if both parents are blonde. If either of Rugal's secretaries are the mother to his children, I would lean more towards Mature. Now granted, aside from the stuff they were talking about with genetics, I do want to point out something. While it's not the strongest piece of evidence, but it is interesting nonetheless if you ask me. If you recall, in KOF 14, Verse had specific win quotes directed at particular characters, all of which were spoken through the soul of somebody inside of Verse, except for the quote directed at Shune. One of said specific targets is Mature, where he says, "What's wrong?" you can be my secretary again. Now, despite the fact that Vice is also one of Rugal's secretaries, this could easily apply to her as well, but verse doesn't do that. It's squarely aimed and directed at Mature. Now, I won't rule out the fact that this might just be something that was forgotten in the coding. It'd be far past the first time a little snafu got past SNK's radar and made its way into one of their games. However, if this wasn't an accident, I could see this as being a hint towards maybe, just maybe, Rugal felt a little bit more of a deeper connection to Mature than Vice. Maybe it was attraction, maybe it was just the fact he preferred her demeanor over Vice's. I just find it odd with that particular quote he would just simply direct it at Mature over Vice when, regardless of whether he prefers one or not, she was still one of his secretaries. But yeah, that's all I got for this one. What do you think of these theories, and what are some of your crazy KOF theories? Please comment below. I'd love to see what you guys have in mind. And until next time, I am the newly rechristened Chris Frozen Lotus, signing off. You all take care of yourselves. Be safe out there. Be cool to each other. Cheers.